Days of Heaven was really Terrence Malick's breakout film. Anyone who's not familiar with Terrence Malick, he is really he's probably the biggest and best known avant garde film director. His films, such as Days of Heaven and Badlands and Tree of Life and Thin Red Line, they've all been nominated for a whole bunch of Oscars each, and they're all such great films. I haven't seen every Terrence Malick film. I've only seen the things that he's like. Okay, seen Badlands, Days of Heaven, Thin Red Line, and Tree of Life. And Days of Heaven, which being his second film, I wouldn't call it his. Some people will call it his best. I wouldn't, simply because I think that he's done better. And with the Days of Heaven, it is like the Tree of Life and like Thin Red Line in terms of it being avant garde. What do I mean by avant garde? Well, basically, if the images talk for you, the character developments and plot developments, bit on the thin side, and the visuals really they have to make up for everything. And even see that's how avant-garde has to be. The visuals really have to be so strong that anything less than oh my god, and you pretty much have a failure on your hands. So the basic gist of Days of Heaven is Richard Gere. This was Gere's breakout film also. Richard Gere and the Brooke Adams are they're dating, even though they said to be brother and sister. They're said to be brother and sister just because Richard Gere has a very hot temper. They don't want anyone prying into their past. They figure that being brother and sister, that they'll be in less trouble that way. So they go on the run with Gere's little sister. She narrates the whole thing, and they wind up in this farming area where they're exposed to such a brutal workforce. It takes place during World War One, right? And one day Richard Gere finds out that the owner of the place, is played by young Sam Shepard, is very ill. He only has roughly a year to live. And Shepard eventually falls for Brooke Adams. And Richard Gere, he allows a bit of a charade to happen. He figures that if they get married and he dies, she inherits all of his entire fortune. Thing is, he doesn't end up dying. He just his illness pretty much stays in Arrested Development. So Gere gets kind of impatient with things, and he doesn't really want to kill him because Shepard is portrayed as being a little too nice of a guy and a little too respectful. So yeah, that's really what the movie's about. We get to know enough of who these four leads are: the Gere, Adams, Gere's sister, and Sam Shepard. We get to know just enough of who they are so that we're not totally out of the loop with things. But oh my god, is this film ever gorgeous to look at? In the 70s, there was two such scrumptious looking films. There was Days of Heaven, and there was Stanley Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. Two of some of the best looking films ever made. And unlike Barry Lyndon, which is a straightforward sort of narration, Days of Heaven, as I said, it is different. It does rely more on the images and the motifs and it is kind of allegorical because Days of Heaven, it does have some biblical themes to it. Yeah, it's you pretty much have to like infer and like figure out through linking different images what certain things mean. And if you're able to do that, then Days of Heaven is going to be a good time for you. The romance is great, but figuring out all these what all these different visuals, if you're able to do that, it's going to be a great time for you. And otherwise, yeah, as I said, an avant-garde movie, it has to be a perfect, amazing film. Otherwise, it's gonna stink. And yeah, Days of Heaven is not in the ladder, so I'll give it 4 stars out of 4.